Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach, and the El Dorado Restaurant and Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week, you're in for a real treat. You're going to be meeting Maya Mercedes and her dad, Clark Curtis. Both of them are from Northern California. Oh, we'll even be talking about that Los Muertos Pier with Clark. We are also going to be talking about Vallarta Today, which is the newspaper of the Bay. It's an online news publication that's news and a whole lot more. And I'm going to let Maya and Clark tell you all about it. And they're going to tell you, Clark will tell you what it's like moving his whole family to Puerto Vallarta and living in a predominantly Mexican neighborhood. They've got some great tips and they've got some great advice. And by the way, Maya is 13 years old. I think that she is the youngest guest that we have had on the show. Have we ever had any kids on this show? I don't think so. Anyhow, you will love Maya and you'll love Clark. But before we get to them both and to Vallarta Today, let's see what's happening this week in Vallarta Today, the 11th of April, 2021. Vaccines are all the rage as the precious vials of the Happy Juice were distributed all around Puerto Vallarta for the second dose of the vaccine for adults over the age of 60. Almost 22,000 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines were administered in 7 different locations around Jalisco. Actually, around the Jalisco side of the Bay, I should say. JR got his in Romance near his house. He says that he was in and out in just 90 minutes, which he called impressive. Others came to the Naval Hospital, like from this article from Vallarta Today. It reads, amidst the locals, hundreds of tourists came to get vaccinated in PV. The third and last day of vaccination of the second dose of Pfizer's BioNTech vaccination in Puerto Vallarta concluded in order and without setbacks. At the Naval Hospital, which operated as one of the 7 modules set up in the port, the foreigners commented to this newspaper that they were very happy to have been vaccinated at this hospital and said they felt very proud to be able to set foot in the facilities of the Naval Hospital. They affirmed that they were surprised that this hospital was a first-class facility and was especially well organized and clean. The foreigners commented to the director of the Puerto Vallarta Naval Hospital, Carlos Pianzo, it's an honor to be able to be in your facilities, Captain. They continued, thank you very much. Everything was very fast, and they explained everything to us before applying the vaccine, from opening the packaging of the syringe. Everything was new and in the appropriate temperature, and everything was done quickly and very cleanly. We are very grateful, and we came here because we trust you. They checked our blood pressure and asked us questions about our state of health, and we did not feel it when they applied the vaccine. How fast and efficient. Then we went to an observation area where the doctors were checking us to make sure that we were fine. Thank you very much. And then they talk about the vaccination process. It's worth mentioning that a day before the vaccinations began, Vallarta Today was granted access to the facilities by order of the director of the hospital, Carlos Pianzo Ramirez, and we noticed for ourselves, the place was in perfect order, from the arrangement of the chairs in perfect alignment to the extreme cleanliness of the air-conditioned area. It was an ideal location for the application of the dose. The captain informed that the doses were in a sheltered area and ready to be used the following day, which would have been the first day of vaccination. People scheduled to receive the vaccine had been called and were already given an appointment, which ensured that order was maintained at all times. As they arrived, they verified that it was the second dose and that they had marked the application of the first dose, as well as that it was the same pharmaceutical element. Everything was registered in computers and was well planned, so the event went very smoothly and orderly during the 3 days of vaccination. And I have a link to that article from Vallarta Today in the show notes. Now, with that story, I thought I would share with you an email that I got from listener Cheryl, a friend of mine. She writes about the email that I read last week from a listener. The listener's name was Wynn, and Wynn told me, if you were listening, Wynn told me that I had cured her of her, insomnia. So here's the email that I got from Cheryl. She said, "I got such a kick out of your listener who said that they would fall asleep partway into your podcasts. It happens to me too, buddy." I think it's your warm and soothing voice, but I always have to back up the podcast and listen to it again. She continues, she says, Jim, her husband, and I received our second vaccine of Pfizer yesterday at the Naval Hospital. Our hats are off to the Mexican government for providing we expats with the vaccine. Hats off also to the Naval Hospital, who was extremely organized and friendly. With both vaccines, we spent about 2.5 hours in the entire process, much less than what other people experienced. We were seated either in the shade or in air conditioning. We have friends in the U.S. who are still waiting. So very proud that Mexico delivered. And she finishes, see you in May, Cheryl. So look at there, proof from real boots on the ground that Mexico is doing an excellent job of delivering the jab. Excelente. And, by the way, they did write in their note when they were soliciting the people to get the jab that the vaccines were actually not recommended if you had been suffering, if you actually had suffered COVID and you had not recovered that 15-day period. And if you live with any kind of immunosuppression, they didn't want you to take it. If you have severe allergies, they didn't want you to take it. And if you received a blood transfusion, application of blood products, treatment with plasma or antibodies against the COVID-19 virus in the last 3 months, they suggested you do not get the jab. Now, Cheryl and Jim, they've introduced me to some really great interviews over the years, and I want to thank Cheryl for the email, and we will see you and Jim in just a couple of weeks, and I'll buy the margaritas. How's that? Now, with all this vaccinating going on around here, aside from, people getting better about, feeling better about getting out, I should say, and, enjoying some life, I don't remember if you recall what was the impetus of the birth of the Vallarta Food Bank. Do you remember? It was Jimmy's realization that the seniors in his neighborhood who worked as baggers at the supermarkets were told to go home and isolate, and they had no form of income, and they were going hungry. Remember that? Well, with the vaccinations, the seniors are now being allowed to return to work as baggers. How about that? So Here's the article from Millennial Digital. Older adults vaccinated against COVID can return as little matches, it says here. Mexico City, older adults who have completed their COVID-19 vaccination scheme, that is, who have both doses, can voluntarily restart their activities as packers in supermarkets and self-service stores. This was considered by the National Institute of Older Adults in a statement in which it indicated that it must be in accordance with the provisions of the epidemiological traffic light of each state. According to the agency, there is no objection to older adults resuming their activities, but clarified that it should be done in orderly and a gradual manner. What are the measures? Among the recommendations for the return of the elderly, they need to have had both doses of the vaccine, not having had any respiratory illness in the last month, mandatory use of face masks at all times, which means that they must be worn when leaving home, during their stay in the store, and while returning home. Give training on the correct use of sanitary measures to avoid contagion. Install a sanitary filter as a temperature measurement and use of antibacterial gel. In addition to frequent cleaning protocols, avoid crowds during checkout waiting times with only one person on duty. At the beginning of March this year, the government of Mexico informed that it will grant economic support for 2,200 pesos to the elderly who worked as packers. The lists of the workers who benefit will be published on official pages. And I have a link to that article from Millennial Digital in the show notes. You can check that out, of course, at www.PuertoVallartaTravelShow.com. So welcome back, you baggers. I don't want to call them old baggers. It's not good. And make sure that you tip the baggers. It's the only way, actually, that they make money. Markets don't pay them, and so they work and live and survive only on tips. So be generous. Give those pesos. Last week, I was telling you about businesses that have been affected and shut down due to scarcity of customers or just, it's been a long time and they're calling it quits. And our friends Jesse and Maddie over in El Tuito actually have decided to put all of their efforts into their new restaurant and put a hold on their bed and breakfast. So let me read Jesse's note to you all here. It says, friends and followers of La Jolla del Tuito Hotelito, it is with mixed emotions that we announce the closure of our beloved LJDT. We've decided to focus our energy in growing our new restaurant, Provecho. We have made so many wonderful friends in our almost 6 years doing this wonderful business. Some of you have even become family. We cherish our wonderful memories with each and every one of you. What does this mean for La Jolla del Tuito brand? Well, don't worry, my friends. You've not heard the last from us. Over the next couple of years, we will be purchasing land and building a brand new cabana-style destination. Stay tuned for bigger, better things. When the sun sets on one thing, it rises on another. Salud. Go easy, my friends. So it's not the end. It's just a timeout. And we should be all used to that by now, shouldn't we? Anyway, Jesse and Maddie, actually, they just did an expansion on their new restaurant over on Provecho. So they are actually concentrating on this endeavor, at least for now. And the food at Provecho is so good. It is delicious. When you are in El Tuito, you need to go there. You need to stop by. And even if you're driving through El Tuito on your way down to the beaches, stop by, pick up a sandwich, and say hi. Now, of course, you want to stand by for their new digs. And by the way, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be bringing you another bed and breakfast in El Tuito. We're going to be talking with Arancia. Remember Arancia from the Babel Bar over on Isla Quale? Remember her? Remember Babel Bar? Well, I tracked her down because I told you that she was working on a project up in El Tuito. Remember that? Well, she has a beautiful place up in El Tuito. It's called Hotelito Jardín del Tuito by Babel, and it is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I sat with her in a beautiful little courtyard back in January, and we talked about this little hotelito, and you will be hearing about this beautiful place really, really soon. So stay tuned for that. And Jose Camacho Castillo, remember him? Well, our private driver is heading up to the States. Here's a note from Jose. It's with a heavy heart that I must inform you that my wife and I have made the decision to move back to the United States. I will miss seeing familiar faces year after year. The people I have driven and met are not just clients. I consider you part of my family. I will miss you all mucho. Please remember that exploring is not a task to be completed. It's a lifelong journey. Take care, my friends, and wishing you all the best in years to come. Jose. So, bummer. Anyway, I guess I'm going to need to interview a new guy well, why does it have to be a guy? Maybe a gal. Anyway, next month I'm going to locate a substitute driver for all of you. But we're going to miss you, Jose. We're going to miss you. What a great guy. And anybody who ever used the services of Jose, all you listeners out there, you know who you are. You know that he was the greatest, is the greatest. Anyway, listener Marty, if you recall, Marty sent me an email asking what I thought of his plan to fly from Chicago O'Hare to San Diego and then cross over the border and then fly out of Tijuana Airport to Puerto Vallarta. He showed me how he could actually save literally hundreds of dollars doing that. Well, he has another idea, and I thought I'd share those ideas with you. A couple ideas here. For those of you who fly out of the Chicago area, or for anybody who has issues with paying a lot of money, to fly from where you are directly into Puerto Vallarta, there are other options you might want to think about. And here is another option he writes about. Right now, our nonstop flights from ORD to PVR run from $684 to $782 per person. We usually pay $450 to $525. I'm looking at some alternatives, including a flight from ORD to Mexico City, an airport I last visited 20 years ago and was severely underwhelmed. However, I can fly to Mexico City from ORD, stay overnight at a Holiday Inn Express near the airport, and fly to PVR the next day for $235 per person, hotel included. Get that, you guys? Pretty interesting. Returning is better since we can make our connections in Mexico City. A 5-hour layover to give us plenty of time to switch airlines and not stay overnight. My only concern is that the flight from PVR to Mexico is on Viva Aerobus, an airline I know nothing about. With the difference in rates with this plan, I can afford better tequila. Marty. Well, you sure can. What are you talking about? I love it. Great. That's a great idea. And then I got another email from him with an update to his options. He says the flight from ORD to Mexico City on Delta is $183. It's $193 on United. The flight to PVR from Mexico City is $55. Return from PVR to Mexico City on Viva Aerobus is $47. So the flight from Mexico to ORD on United is $176 total, not including the hotel in Mexico City, Holiday Inn Express for approximately $60. It will be $460 to $470 per person. Unfortunately for us, we have a $846 credit to use on American, so it appears that we'll have to use that credit, resulting in a wash. We do get 2 direct flights, though. I'm going to keep this info for next year and perhaps extending my time in Mexico City for an extra few days. It's a great idea. So anyway, these are great options and something for all of you to think about. If you're getting ready to make a trip, you maybe want to save a few dollars, maybe a few $100s. Well, Marty has got some great tips here that will probably help a lot of you folks if you just, think a little bit outside the box. As far as activity on the ground in Puerto Vallarta, the theaters, the bars, the restaurants, the nightclubs, massage parlors, strip clubs, everything is open. Of course, all the protocols are in place with proper spacing, distancing in restaurants and in theaters. I am not sure about the masking and social distancing in strip clubs, though. In fact, I'm not quite sure how that works at all. So maybe while I am there in May, I'll do a little research, public service. Who knows? The COVID traffic light was supposed to change to green during the Easter weekend, like I talked about last week, but although the light did go verde in Nuevo Vallarta, in Nayarit, the light remained yellow in Puerto Vallarta. So we're going to see how conditions are next week. Maybe we'll go green, baby. All right. Let's get to the interview, shall we? There are a number of news publications on the Bahia de Banderas. I read from them, at least a few of them, a couple times a week. And one of those is Vallarta Today. The editor of Vallarta Today is a 13-year-old young lady named Maya Mercedes. And Maya's going to tell you how she became the editor of Vallarta Today in a couple of minutes. You're going to hear the story about how Maya's dad, Clark, moved his whole family from Northern California to live a simpler life in Mexico. So let's just go right now to the rooftop restaurant in the Cinco de Diciembre neighborhood on the corner of Calle Bolivia and Honduras in one of my favorite restaurants, Meño's Place. And let's meet Maya Mercedes and Clark Curtis from Vallarta Today, the newspaper of the Bay. Clark and Maya, thanks for coming on the show today.
Well, thanks, Barry.
Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Clark, let's start with you. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
We're from Northern California, about 3 hours north of the Golden Gate Bridge, and Puerto Vallarta was where we vacationed for 20 or 30 years. And in 2008, we decided to make the move to Puerto Vallarta to raise our kids in our kids' school. So that was the real reason to come full-time. The reason to vacation is look around and tell me what's the not vacation here for.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, but you made the move, so that's pretty cool. What were you doing before you came here?
Right before we showed up in here, I had a construction company, tractors, dump trucks. My wife had a retail jewelry store. And we shut them all down and loaded up the kids and got on an airplane with 4 dogs or 5 dogs. 4 dogs.
I don't know. We had a lot.
4 dogs? How many suitcases?
Well, if you count the 4 dog carriers we had and the carry-ons and the check bags, we had 15 suitcases. And Maya at the time was only about 1.5. So that means she was in a car seat, and then our oldest would have been, 4. So she was, a toddler also. And there was people at the airport that looked at the pile we had and the 2 kids and all the dogs, and they said, how? And then it was, why?
Oh, you know why. Maya, you've been here since you were 1 year old.
Yeah.
How's your Spanish?
Good. I'm fluent in it.
Yeah. All right. So, what's your school like? Do you go to a public school? What do you do?
I have an online school, but it's an American online school.
What's it called?
Connections Academy.
Connections Academy. And so how many hours a day do you think you on that computer?
Normally, like 6,
Yeah.
5 or 6 hours.
Okay. And what kind of classes are you taking?
I have biology, algebra, English, Spanish, drawing, and that's about it, I think. Oh, and personal fitness.
And personal fitness. So yeah. So you have to take care of your own personal fitness, right?
Yeah, I do.
I think Clark told me earlier, before we got here on the podcast, that you are living in kind of a Spanish Mexican neighborhood, yes?
Yeah, it's all Spanish. It's up on the hill, and no one speaks English. It's all Spanish.
No one speaks English, so easy to make friends being a gringa.
Yeah, I guess it's easy, but I prefer talking English, so I don't really have anyone to talk English to except my parents. But it's fine.
It's okay, right? You
Yeah,
still have friends.
Yeah, I still have friends.
Okay, all right. Well, that's I think that's kind of important, right?
Yeah.
Clark, you came here. A lot of people come here and they try to figure out something to do, like get some sort of work, either online work or you know what goes on around here. Are you doing stuff like that?
When we originally came down, yes, I was doing a little bit. I have an electrical background, and so we started custom building LED lights. The laws have changed here recently, and they put us into that. But yeah, for a short period of time, there was LED lights, and we brought a product to Mexico that could actually last.
Okay, interesting. Well, let's talk a little bit about LED lights, because I know that you were involved in getting the pier, getting that beautiful sail there on the pier all lit up again. Can you tell us a little bit about? I know they've had trouble. I know that there are issues, and I've even heard that it's kind of deteriorating. Tell us a little bit about that whole situation.
Well, to do it briefly, when originally the pier was built, the original LED lights were failing at a very rapid rate. And the problem was that they had low voltage and then very high voltage because the transformer was not correctly sized and the wiring was not correctly sized. So the solution was to build a LED light that would work under these wide voltage range. So I contacted a company called Meanwell out of South Korea, and they actually custom built the drivers or the ballasters that would allow the pier lights to run from as low as 80 volts to up to 180 volts. And that was 2015, and we installed 950-watt lights, and 5 years later, most of them are still working, but it's about time they need a refit again.
Yeah. What about the structure itself?
Well, I brought a man down from the San Francisco Bay Area that specializes in bridge structures, and we found a lot of things that weren't done to what we'd say U.S. specs. They were missing the sacrificial anodes. That would be zinc. There was no grounding. There was no bonding. Kind of a poor choice of material to put in salt water, bare, untreated steel. So, yes, there's some severe issues with that. And it could be repaired, but if it's not done quickly, it's not going to be repairable.
Wow, yeah. And when you say quickly, what do you think, a couple of years?
If that. It's really deteriorating. There was a recent article out, I don't know if you got to see it, where they actually sent divers down and looked at it, and it's got some severe problems.
Interesting. So, wow, they've got to get moving on that if they want to save it.
Or start over again, rebuild it.
Right, exactly. Who's in charge of that?
It's odd thing about it is that it was built by a private individual. So the city really doesn't claim it. The state doesn't really claim it. Now we have an issue where the current mayor is looking at trying to fix it. Then there's a group of private business owners in that area that are trying to fix it. I was originally brought in by Dee from Dee's Coffee. And local business owners put up the money to, try and fix it. But now it's in a limbo of whose is it, who's in charge. So it's nobody.
Yeah, it's a big question mark, isn't it? All right, well, I'm sure that makes it a whole lot easier to figure out who's going to fix it and how that's going to happen, right? All right, listen, obviously we got politics involved there, so... The reason I have Maya here is because Maya is an editor. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, technically the staff editor, but I'm really only the editor. I'm the only editor.
And what are you the only editor of?
Vallarta Today, the newspaper.
Okay, so that's Vallarta Today. It's all online, right? Nothing gets printed, right?
No.
No.
Okay, all right. So now being the editor, What's your job like? What do you do?
Well, I edit articles and stuff, and I have to decode them from like bad coding, because if they have a little bit of bad code, such as like a div or something, it can crash the website.
Oh, wow. Okay, so when now you're getting articles, how are you getting them? People are sending you these articles. How's that done?
Well, they can send it to my email, but normally they just upload it through the site, through the website.
Okay, and Clark, maybe get me a little bit up to speed on how that is done. These contributors.
Well, on the site itself, there is a social media platform, and Maya made a set of 10 steps of directions that allows you to register on the site as a user or as a journalist. So once you register as a journalist following Maya's directions, she also shows you how to upload pictures and videos, which is just like Facebook. The number 10 set of directions is how to upload an article. And basically they copy and paste or can write it right on the site, an article and their photos, and it's uploaded. But just because it's uploaded does not mean it's visible to the public.
Yeah.
And that's where Maya has to come in. If there's code in an article, what are they called, divots or davits?
There's divs and backslash divs, and there's sins, which I have to get rid of.
Yeah, so if there's any of this bad code in there and she pushes the publish button, the entire website crashes. And I mean, there's nothing left.
Oh, wow.
It's bad.
It's 404 error and it's down. And when she was first learning this, there was some days of tears because, she was only 13, and but she powered through it. So part of it is some of the articles come in Spanish, and she has to translate them to English. Some of them are written by native Spanish speakers that can translate them to English, but maybe the translation isn't quite perfect. So she'll go in and clean up them. There's also problems with photos have to be resized. If they're not the proper size photo, then it doesn't appear even and look. She also has to fact check content. For an example, if it's an article that it's written by, James Smith or whatever, she needs to spend a little bit of time going out and searching on the net and making sure that this article wasn't borrowed or, quote, stolen from somebody else, because that's the last thing you want to do. So in the very beginning, it was to learn the Joomla platform. I don't say it right. Say it better.
It's Joomla.
Joomla platform. She had to learn to write the code, erase the code, run a platform.
Okay, so Maya, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Who talked you into this?
My dad did. I don't know. He thought it was a good idea for me to work with the newspaper, me and my mom, and I don't know when. When did we start?
I believe it was in March or April, because the website was brand new.
Yeah, and ever since then, my mom has been writing articles, and I've been learning the platform and how to work as an editor for it.
Your last article you wrote was fantastic.
Thank you.
I loved how you talked about the magic market and how they moved everything to the pier.
Yes, thank you.
How many articles have you written now?
I don't know. I don't know, 20 or something.
I believe, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, somewhere around that.
All right. So now, how will somebody be able to become a writer too? Let's say they want to contribute and share maybe their favorite restaurant or share their favorite thing about Puerto Vallarta.
Well, anyone can write anything, but they can send me an email or they can sign up for Joomla as a journalist, which my dad mentioned the directions. There is directions on how to register as a journalist.
Okay, excellent. All right, yes, right. And you made those, so you wrote those directions.
Yes, I did. I did.
Yeah, and I followed them too because, I've started an article. I haven't sent it in yet, but I've started one. One day you'll get it.
Okay.
All right, but this is a really great way, I think, if you are a lover of Puerto Vallarta, and let's say you have something to say and you think you can, you're a decent writer, you can share this. And now tell us about your subscribers. How many subscribers do you have?
There are 60,000 subscribers and followers to Vallarta Today.
Wow, that's a big... 60,000?
Yes, it is.
Oh, my God.
with the 60,000 subscribers and followers, some of them are contributors, but anyone is welcome to join the newspaper. It is a community newspaper, and they're allowed to write whatever they want.
As long as it's not advertising.
If they follow Maya's directions, and really, she made these directions so that anybody could do it. When it says push the button that says start, she actually took a screenshot of that button and then circled it in red.
Yeah.
And when it says, put your name here, she took a screenshot of it, circled the box that says red. So you don't have to know a computer to be able to follow these directions. And why not, give a shout out to your favorite restaurant? Why not give a shout out to that person on the beach that goes above and beyond? Why not give a shout out to that charity that's been working through this COVID? It's a community newspaper. It's wide open. Have at it.
Yeah, but again, it can be about something, but it can't be advertising. It has to be a natural story.
Well, yes, Maya, you're very right there. To be considered news and for Google News to pick it up, it needs a couple things. One,
Like a birthday. It needs a birthday. All right.
it needs a couple things.
It needs a couple things.
You said a couple. For a news article to be considered news by Google, there's a couple things that they want to see, or they classify it as an advertisement. For example, they want to see at least 250 words. And when you
Yes.
think about it, 250 words is
Is
just
it-
a couple of paragraphs.
Yes, it isn't very much.
At all, yeah.
Yeah.
They also want to see at least one picture, but more pictures are better. And then again, the article can't be written as it's an ad. It has to be written as it's news, or Google News just classifies it as an ad, will not pick it up, will not carry it. So it's very easy to do this. And instead of writing a ad, you talk about something new. You can go to a restaurant. What we just ate today was delicious. It'd be very easy to put 250 words together on this traditional enchiladas that I had that was actually a vegetarian enchiladas. So as long as it's written in a style that is considered, quote, news, anybody can do it.
And now this particular website, it really gets a lot of hits, right? Because it's just because of the way that the platform is.
Yes, that has a lot to do with it, but when people are interacting and sharing articles, Maya writes an article and somebody will pick it up off the newspaper, or they'll see it on Facebook, and then they start sharing it, and they start sharing it. But, they can get 10,000 hits a week, no problem.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Does it cost any money?
What?
Does it cost any money to send in articles, to become a contributor?
No.
No,
It's-
there's no charge for it.
Yeah.
We came in the middle of COVID. Excuse me, Maya, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say there used to be a charge, but not anymore because of COVID, and you can explain.
Yes, there was. It was a significant charge to have your business featured in a news article. But because of COVID, the whole idea was that if we can all come together as a community and support the community, help out these restaurants that are being closed, or they're running at 50% staff, and now they've got extra cost in the extra COVID protection. A shout out to a bar. So there's absolutely no charge to have an article written. You feel free to write yourself. Maya will help you edit them. She'll actually publish them and upload them, and it's just up to you. If you want to shout out, shout out.
Excellent. All right. You have anything to add to that, Maya?
No, that's it. But if you don't want to sign up for the newspaper and you want to send us an article, you can send it to me or my dad's email, right, Dad?
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
and I'll have that in the show notes, so
Yeah.
you don't have to tell that to us now, but I will
Yeah.
have that in the show notes, and you know where to
Okay.
find it at www.portovallartatravelshow.com, and we will have all that information for you so that you could get hooked up with Vallarta Today. How long has Vallarta Today been around?
Wow.
For a long time, but
Yeah, Wayne was running it in the 2000s. I think really it was started in the 90s. Like I said, we only came in March just to kind of help out. I could see it as a
Yeah.
platform that we could use to promote Villarta.
But it used to be a bad site. They like made a new site. It used to be really bad quality and like really bad looking, but
Well, the
they
old
fixed it up.
website was just very old. I believe it was from the 90s, and we'd have to ask Tom about that. And what Tom has done recently is put in an absolutely fabulous website. Yeah, I don't even want to speculate how much money he put into it, but some of the features of the website, besides the social media platform, what Maya's working on and opening right now is it's going to be My University. And it's basically a SCROM-rated university program that runs on the Joomla platform that will allow anybody that can teach any subject to upload their university class and be able to charge a fee for people to do it. Right now, there's people bringing up English classes, Spanish classes. Nathan has his mental health. What else? Oh, and your directions are on the university,
Yes.
but they're free, of course.
Yes, they're free. But anyone can actually, if they sign up properly, anyone can go to the university and put a class up as long as it is a class. Like, it doesn't have to be professional, but it has to be a class, and you can just make some profit out of it.
Exactly. And you know what I was really hoping we could see happen is like someone from this restaurant do a recipe. You know, put together a little bit of a video, even if it's just the recipe of this restaurant, or a lady at home that has some great recipes. Maybe it's going to be her grandkid that's going to, you know, turn it in, but they could basically just upload in a recipe as on the university site and be able to charge a couple pesos for it for somebody to download it.
Yes,
you go.
pesos or dollars or Canadian dollars.
Excellent.
Yes,
Okay.
actually we can do offline pay, even OXXO pay.
Yeah, even OXXO pay.
Wow. All right. That's pretty cool. I mean, that makes this very, very versatile, I think, and I like the idea of offering classes. That's pretty cool. I like that. All right. I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to dive deeper into Vallarta Today and check that out online. And I promise to get you an article, Maya. I promise. All right. Let's go. Let's leave Vallarta Today just for a few minutes. Let's go out into town. Let's go into Puerto Vallarta.
Okay.
I always ask, places that are your favorite places to eat. Now, I know that you eat a lot at home, right? You guys are, you live here. And most people who live here full-time, they're not going out to restaurants every day, right? But when you do, like when you get a special occasion, when somebody comes and visits and you got to take them out somewhere, where would you take them to breakfast?
Maya, why don't you tell them some of your favorite places?
Well, I like to go to El Coleguita in the marina, which is seafood, and they have really good coconut shrimp. But I also like Yao, which is Japanese food and sushi. And also Jean's Burgers, which is just a little stand in also the
smash
marina.
burgers.
I've
Yeah.
heard of Jean's. What's so special about Jean's Burgers?
I don't know. They're just really good. I really like them. I normally get the barbecue chicken burger and the milkshake. All their food is really good.
Nice. So where's Jean's?
It's in the like shopping mall in the marina where
Plaza
there's
Marina.
Yeah, Plaza Marina.
Plaza Marina. Okay. All right. Now, I don't think any of those were breakfast places. Those all sound like, lunch and dinner places. You had a favorite breakfast spot?
I don't know what it's called, but wait. What's the road by Amayali?
Oh, Pavo Real.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but there's a little restaurant on Pavo Real in front of Amayali that serves really good traditional Mexican breakfasts.
Breakfasts.
Yeah.
That is a great spot.
All right. So wait, what street? What street is that, and what colonia is that?
Pavo Real, and I believe that is going to be in the Colonia Presidente.
Yeah.
Yeah, just east of Costco.
East of Costco. Okay. All right. Neat. All right. See, these are places that no one would ever know about. So this is why I want to find out. Any others? Any other kind of places there in
For
your
breakfast?
neighborhood?
Kubli's?
Kubli's, yeah. Kubli's is really good. It serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think, maybe not lunch, but I know they serve dinner and breakfast. And I don't go there that often, but when I do go there, I really like the pancakes they have that comes with, like, fruit and, like, I don't know what else.
Whipped cream and ice cream.
It comes with the pancakes come with a big plate of fruit and some ice cream, a scoop of ice cream, which I think it's really good.
I think that's a great combo.
Yes,
Pancakes
it is.
and ice cream.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I like the place already. How about you, Clark? You got any favorite breakfast, dinner places? Lunch
Breakfast places, yeah, that's one of the things we normally always eat at home because we eat breakfast, boom, pronto. We already ate breakfast. This is lunch for us. So, but Kubley's is normally where we would go for breakfast. It's relatively close. We know the owners, and my breakfast you saw had enchiladas. She would like something sweet. So Kubley's is a place that I can get both.
How about lunch?
Lunch, for me, lunch is either going to be sushi, and how many sushi places could we talk about?
There's a lot, but which
Yeow
one
you mentioned, that's probably one of your favorites.
Yeah.
That's by Starin on Fluvial.
Okay.
In the mall, in the Gallerias Mall.
Yes, they have very good sushi.
That is probably one of our favorite sushi places. On Pez Marlin, the bumpy road we call it.
Yeah.
It's Sushi Row. Is that
it's
it?
Sushi Row, and they deliver. And
Oh yes.
They
But
deliver.
the lollipops. Oh, those are delicious.
What's the lollipops?
So sushi, that's a big one for us. Then other than that, it's going to be tacos or street food. And typically the street food, you have the ones that are open in the morning for breakfast, and then they'll close in the afternoon, and then there's the ones that open at night. But we've got ones that, well, if you go up Calle Vienna Street, till you have to make a hard left and then a right. The first place on the right is Al Pastor Tacos, and they're 5 pesos each. They're nice, they're big, they're fat. They actually have tables. It's not just a stand. The Birria place. Robles Birria. There's the name of it. Birria de Robles. They've got a couple locations.
Fish tacos.
Oh, yes, the fish tacos. We drove by it the other day with Dean. It's in Old Town. If you were leaving Old Town, that's Basil Badillo, and you make a left on the last place you can make a left. That little taco stand has been there since my first trip here, and that was in the late 80s, I believe.
And that's Marissima.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, another old-time favorite. They've been there over 30 years. Is down by the marina where now it's Chedraui, but it used to be Soriana. If you go down that little road on the right-hand side, there is a taco stand there that has been serving tacos de cabeza for over 30 years. And it's just typical, tacos de cabeza. But after 30 years and the place is still packed, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it takes a lot of brains to stay in business like that.
Exactly.
All right.
And
I'm
Gene's
sorry,
Burgers, I got to add, that is good. They do what I call a smash burger. So many times you just have people say, what's the best hamburger? Well, there's so many different styles. I mean, if you want the best hamburger, it would have to be at Cafe d'Artiste. I think it's 400 peso hamburger. But that's not what, people are thinking of a hamburger. Gene's has a smash burger. Joe Jack's, they have a steak burger. Oh, God, what are some of the others? But Gene's Smash Burgers, they're one of my favorites.
Excellent. All right, so we got it covered, right? Did we do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or did we get any dinners?
Dinner, actually, she mentioned El Coleguita in the marina, and that is probably one of our favorite dinner places.
It's a good dinner place because we don't really go out for dinner very often, but when we do, normally we go to there.
What do you order when you go to is it El or La?
It's El Coleguita.
Yeah, it's El Coleguita. Me, my mom, and my sister normally always get the coconut shrimp because it's really good, and it comes with like a mango sauce that we really like. What do you get, Dad?
I usually get one of the fish fillets, but we always have to take the bottle of tequila away from Maya because on the table they always bring you a full bottle of tequila to drink. Oh, and then the little drinks they bring afterwards, too.
Yes, for dessert, they bring you a cooked plantain with lechera and a little cup of Kahlua and cream, which I will drink, and it is really yummy.
Yeah, I believe I would drink it, too, if I were you, I got to tell you. Wow, okay, these are all... It's a gold mine. Thank you for all of these great advice. It's terrific. if you were going to leave town and go away for a day and come back, what would be the spot that you would go to?
Where do I love to go to Mito because the school, well, when Maya was talking about school, she didn't say that she has high school biology and algebra 2 in Spanish 2 or 3, is it?
2.
So all of her classes are all
but they're not
junior
that
and
hard.
senior.
They're not
they're
really
junior
that
and
hard.
senior classes at 13.
Well,
so the school day, she said 6 hours. It's usually closer to 8, but
No.
we haven't gone in a while. But Mito is one of our favorite places to go.
The water's very pretty.
Very pretty. And Candy's, you've been to Mito? Okay, so
Sure.
Candy's has a little, kind of like a Motel 6 right next door to it. They're just little tiny rooms, but when we're there, we don't, spend it. And we go and we start a tab the first day there, and the tab is just filled up. They'll bring me a box to put my empty beers in. The girls have a container to put their empty juice containers in. We just walk in and eat, and they just add it up. And so that's one of our favorites.
That's in Tewa Mixley. You're
Yes,
talking about Candy.
Tewa
Okay.
And the dogs like it too. My dog Mocha, when we took her to Mito, she went up and she was chasing all the crabs and trying to grab them and eat them, and it was funny. She would grab them and then we would give them to the fishermen so that
They use them as bait.
yeah.
So her Boston Terrier was hunting crabs. Now, I didn't tell her, but she could have sold those to the fishermen because they would have bought them for bait. But sitting there in Tewa, it would be 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and even when they were 8 and 9 years old, blonde hair,
8 and
blue-eyed
9.
girls out playing on the street with, local national girls up till midnight. And, it's just something that you would never get to do in the United States. You just would never get to do in the United States.
That's for sure. Wow. Yeah, it's a different life, isn't it? All right, so that would be actually a couple of days if you're staying there,
Well, usually if we're going down there, it's until you can no longer eat any seafood. Okay,
Yeah.
so you stay there and you eat shrimp for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and fish for
Yes.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
There's not really any meat other than seafood.
Do you remember the lady with the chicken?
Yes, there was one lady who she did have chicken.
She actually had chickens running around in her backyard, and it was I think our 4th or 5th day. And I said,
we
"Man."
got tired of seafood, so
We went and knocked on her door, and I asked her, would you sell me one of those chickens? And my Spanish is not as good as the girls, so they were helping translate. And the lady said, yeah, what? So we explained to her what the deal was, and she said, come back in 3 or 4 hours. Oh, how do you want your chicken? And Maya told her mole. And she said, come back in 3 or 4 hours, and I'll have your chicken ready. And this was not a restaurant. This was just
an
a
old
little
lady.
old lady's house. So 3 or 4 hours later, we went back and got to have a chicken meal. So
it was
then
very good.
It was.
It was.
But that'll give us a couple more days to be able to eat seafood before we have to turn around and come home.
Yeah, you were able to satisfy that hunger, the thirst, the hunger.
Miss Malloy is another place we like to go for just day trips. Where else day trips?
Well, we don't really vacation very much or anything.
Well, home is a vacation.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. If you had a word of advice for a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta, what would it be?
Don't stay in the all-inclusives. Get out and see what's out there. Really, my suggestion is start studying Google Maps on satellite view on something bigger than a phone long before you come. Look and see how much more is out there than what people consider the tourist zone. There's so much to see. Playa Grande. Well, now they have an eco park, and now it is kind of touristy because they have zip lines. But that was a place just a few years ago that was at the end of the road, the end of a dirt road. Nothing there. It was actually a Hedo reservation, and we can take the kids out there for the day. The river's there. Again, it's another one of these places where you just start a tab, and you can go hiking, and you come back and get another. What are those you get in the picture? Lemonadas.
Lemonade.
Get another pitcher of lemonadas. Venture out. Get a driver. That's another thing. Of all the things that when we have friends and family come and visit, after their week or two here, and you ask them, what was your number one thing? They'll always say, oh, remember on that back road when we hit that speed bump and my head hit the roof and there was a little taco stand right over there? Or, going out and seeing the real Puerto Vallarta that's not locked up into an all-inclusive.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Get out, visit, meet the people. Any words of warning?
What would you warn somebody about in Puerto Vallarta? Oh, wait, I know one.
What?
Watch where you walk, because all the sidewalks aren't perfectly flat.
Yeah, especially out of the tourist zone, the roads and the sidewalk, they're all uneven and...
Well, we don't even have sidewalks where we live. It's just all dirt roads.
It's just dirt.
Electrical lines. If you see a wire sticking out of a lamp pole or a house or a building, don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Sometimes they'll be in the lines.
Oh, the power lines.
Yeah, sometimes there'll be power lines like that broke or something laying on the floor, but...
don't touch them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
Don't
learn.
touch them.
Gotta learn that. Yeah.
I still have the text message you sent me when Mom was washing off the balcony.
She was squirting off the balcony with a hose, and she accidentally squirt a power line.
We're 3 stories up.
That was 3 stories up, and the electricity shot back to her and shocked her whole body, and she was really scared. She was shocked.
Oh, yeah. No, that's very scary when that happens.
Do you remember the text message you sent me to warn me?
It was...
Something about Mom got shocked, and she jumped over the house.
That's what my mom said. She got shocked, and then she had a whole bunch of energy. She said she could have jumped over the house.
All right, so that's great advice. Watch the roads.
And the power lines.
And the power lines.
Have you ever felt unsafe in any neighborhood? Have you ever felt scared?
No, not really.
I mean, we live way out in the country, and the doors aren't locked.
We live in Rambleses, and I think they say it's like the most dangerous town here in Puerto Vallarta, but it's not.
Yeah.
Our doors aren't locked. I mean, our front door is locked when we go to bed, but like our balcony door isn't locked, and we have this like gate outside of our door where we keep bicycles and like...
That's never locked, though.
Yeah, that's never locked. We never locked
3 high-end bicycles have been sitting in there for a long time that just anybody could just open it, and they don't. I leave my car keys in my car.
Yeah. There's smokers in that fenced-in area, and there's
the barbecue
a
smokers,
fridge,
refrigerator,
and there's gas tanks, which...
Propane tanks, yeah.
So,
but what has ever scared you? What would you warn somebody about? I mean, uneven sidewalks. Wait. At the airport. That's right. When you get off the plane, you pick up your luggage. First you go through customs.
Don't talk
immigration.
to the people.
Yes. There's this, after you get your luggage and you're leaving, there's a little room that's full of these people that are, really friendly. They'll offer you margaritas.
Don't go to them.
They say they got a free ride to your hotel. It's people that are pushing vacation clubs. And if that's for you, great. Go and do it. But, okay, well, this is not something to watch out for or look for. But there's the Villarta food tours when you were talking about going out. It's not inexpensive. It's about $50 a person, and they're going to walk you around and feed you some tacos. But there's also another way to do that. And that is to get on Facebook, join the Spanish sites, and start looking for a driver. And especially now during this time of COVID, there's a lot of people are out of work.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to find a driver that will drive you around the back roads that we love and live in.
And it's way cheaper than the food tours.
The food tour is nice.
But you don't get that much food out of it, and it's kind of expensive.
When we first came here with the girls, they were very tiny, as we said, and we lived in the marina. And to tell you the truth, it was because my wife had a little bit of fear. We're coming to Mexico, and this sounds scary. But as they started growing up and we started moving out of the marina, we've realized that there's no place.
It's not scary at all. It's a fun, safe place.
Yeah, there's no area that I've ever felt scared at any time of day or night. with young American girls.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for all of that. That's excellent. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to Vallarta Today. How will somebody find Vallarta Today and maybe subscribe?
VillartaToday.com, that's it. And there will be like a tab at the side of it that will say like subscribe now or something like that. And you put in your email and I think a phone number. And I don't know what's after that because I'm not subscribed to it, but I think it's pretty simple.
You mean you don't need to get articles emailed to you? You already get them emailed to you.
I'm the one who makes most of them.
Yeah, she was right. There is a subscription button. And then up at the top, it says My Guru. You can click on that, or on My Villarta also. And there's a set of directions there if you would like to sign up and join the social media platform.
Yeah. You hover over My Guru, and then there'll be like My Villarta instructions or something like that. And you click on that, and it'll take you to a link to the instructions I made to sign up or do whatever.
That's excellent. I'll have links to that in the show notes, and you know where to find it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. You might want to think about becoming a contributor. Definitely become a subscriber and follow the news in Puerto Vallarta, a place that we all love and know and want to know better. And this is a great way to do it. And I want to thank you both for taking your time. It's a lot of time. We went through, you guys don't know this, but we heard Happy Birthday 3 times here while we were doing this.
That was amazing. Yeah. And he said, you might hear Happy Birthday today. And then he said a couple times. And what?
And then a third time at this one restaurant.
Yeah, we're over at Menyo's place. And I wanted to thank Nena for letting us use a table and do this interview so that we could enjoy a beautiful view of Puerto Vallarta from here, of the Bahia de Banderas. Have a little bit of a breakfast, and then listen and talk with you two. Very, very interesting. And I'm sure that our listeners are going to really appreciate all the great information that you gave them today.
I sure hope so.
Yes, it was fun.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
And thanks for letting me introduce you guys to my audience. I appreciate it.
Thank you much, and have a wonderful day.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Maya and Clark. The adventure has only begun, right? That's right. We will be following up on the pier over the next couple of weeks. Actually, next time I am in town, next month, we'll follow up on that. And I have some pictures of the pier, the corrosion, other issues in the show notes. And, of course, you can find them at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. If you would like to be a contributor to Vallarta Today, check out the links that I provided in this article and get started just as soon as you can. And once again, I want to thank both of you, Clark and Maya. It's great what you guys are doing. I love the fact that you got the people's newspaper. I love it. Okay, well that should do it for this week. Next week, let's stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant and excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and on your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and send us a message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com. That's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value-for-value proposition, my friends. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else, so do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget, JR's got his maps, his DIY tours, his revitalized happy hour board, and more. And I have links to all of those in the show notes as well. And once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe. Give me a good review wherever you happen to be listening to this podcast. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Hey, tell a friend, have them listen. And remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with every episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really need to have a look there. I have links to the places that we talk about. I have interesting pictures and more right there in the blog posts and in the show notes for each episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right? All right. Thank you so much, Maya and Clark. I love your story. And you can learn so much from them, guys. Their experiences are wonderful. Remember, if you'd like to become a contributor to Vallarta Today, the newspaper of the Bay, and help bring your favorite parts of Puerto Vallarta to the rest of the world, you can do it. Maybe it's a favorite restaurant, or a day trip, or a bar, or a charity. Just write a story. I have links that can help you do just that, including links to the classes, the university classes that you can take as well that Clark and Maya talked about on the show. They're all there in the show notes. So, hey, thanks again to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler, signing off with a wish for all of you to slow down, be kind, and live Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
De arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Oh, oh, solo camino interno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta.